Hey, how's it going? Today we are going to play the new Hydrapple EX from Stellar Crown. Now, this is a pretty cool card. It's a stage 2 grass Pokemon with 330 hit points and has an attack for 2 colorless that does 30 plus 30 more for each grass energy attached to all of our Pokemon. And it has an ability that lets us attach a grass from our hand to one of our Pokemon. If we do, we can heal 30 damage. It's a pretty solid attack. It's got a lot of HP. And the damage can ramp up really quick with the 4 Teal Mask Ogerpon that also lets us accelerate a grass energy from our hand. And if we do, we can draw a card, so that's kind of our draw engine, that along with Greninja. We also have the new Dipplin in here. I figured this one was a little better than the Festival Lead Dipplin. It just has an attack for a grass energy that does like 30 damage, and we can't be damaged by basic Pokemon next turn. So it is a pretty solid attack. I threw a Cleffa in here for a little bit of draw, and this is a little different than a lot of stage 2 decks have been lately. Like there's no Arvins, we're just relying on research and Iono to draw into the rare candies, because we also have the Ogerpon and Greninja to kind of supplement our draw, so we have pretty decent odds to draw into the candy Hydrapple, and if we don't, we can just attack with the Ogerpon ones and then start swinging with the Hydrapple. I've been having pretty good luck of hitting like close to 300 by turn 2 of the games that I've played. Yeah, I'm running Jamming Tower just because I wanted a stadium card in here, and tool cards are getting a little more popular. Yeah, we wanted a way to bump the Area 0 stadiums and just a stadium bump in general, and the Jamming Tower has been pretty good. There's some strong tools in the new set in the A-Spec tool. I have an Energy Retrieval in here. I think that could be a superior Energy Retrieval or even maybe a Night Stretcher. I'm not too sure about that one. It as an Energy Retrieval was pretty fine. I found that discarding cards in this deck is kind of hard. That's why I have the 4 Bug Catching Set and only 3 Ultra Ball. Like a lot of the time your hand's just full of energy and stuff that you want for later. And yeah, that is the deck. Let's get into the games. Alright, this first game we are up against Charizard, which should be a decent matchup for this because they're going to have a hard time knocking us out. Now this hand here is a little bit weird. I wanted to Vessel before using the Bug Catching Set, but I didn't really have any good targets to Vessel away in my hand. And I kind of got punished for it by Bug Catching Set only into 2 grass energy. And then I just kind of tried to draw the cards in the order where I thought that I was most likely to draw into basic Pokemon, but didn't end up happening. I just draw some more supporter cards and attach to Greninja so that I can retreat and start attacking next turn and pass. They're getting a pretty solid setup here. Seems like they got everything going on in their hand. That Duskull is a little troublesome because it's going to mean that they can knock out whatever Applin I bench next turn and my Ogerpon, which wouldn't really be ideal. And they just pass an Iono. Unfortunately didn't get down the Applin at all last turn. I was kind of hoping that I would draw into it off one of my draw abilities, but I did not. Just play all the cards out of my hand so I can draw 4 off of Grasping Draw. And as long as they don't knock out both of my Applins, oh my god, some of these names are so hard to remember. We'll be in good shape next turn. They got the Candy Dusknoir though, which is kind of unfortunate. They're probably going to knock out one of my guys. As long as they don't have like a boss or a counter catcher to go with it though, that should be just fine. I have a new one to replace it in my hand, and yeah, just knock out this Charizard with, I could either use the Hydrapple or one of my Teal masks. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. They throw down Nest Ball down a Lumineon to use Forest Seal Stone, which is kind of interesting. And they get Counter Catcher and Hero's Cape. I think that was a mistake. They didn't realize that we're at even prizes or something. And they just knock out my Cleffa there. Now I got a pretty good hand. I can bench either another Ogerpon or another Applin and just Iono. I think maybe I should have benched another Ogerpon. Alright, there we go. So I did that just so that I can Iono the Applin in my hand to the bottom and make it less likely that I draw into another Applin, because I really have no need for another one right now. or I can research all of them away. Yeah, I end up doing that. I'm just digging for a Jamming Tower right now, because we do play 2 of those in the deck. I'm trying to think about what to Ultra Ball here. I wanted to pull a card out of my deck, but I didn't really want to get rid of any of these cards. In hindsight, I could have just gotten rid of Rare Candy and it wouldn't really have been that big of a deal, because I do have 3 left. And as you can see, I drew another one. Drew into all 3 of the Ultra Balls that are in the deck, which is kind of wild. And now next turn, I really just want to find a Jamming Tower, which we do get off the Iono. So I can throw that down, knock out this Charizard, and then Prime Catcher up the Charmeleon. And since they chose to get a Dusknoir out instead of a Pidgeot, I think that will be in a decent spot. These Charizard decks kind of struggle when they don't have Pidgeot out, because they're pretty much built around the card. So I would like to Iono them here as well. Trying to decide if I want to get extra energy in play or use Greninja to draw like extra cards. And I do end up drawing into the Energy Retrieval with the Ogerpon, which is kind of nice. I don't know. I think I could have done this stuff a little bit differently. I do end up getting 2 more energy now, so it doesn't really matter. I probably should have prioritized Greninja a little bit earlier. And now, yeah, I'm thinking about Ultra Balling for another Hydrapple, but I throw down the Jamming Tower to get something in my hand to Ultra Ball away before, because I didn't want to Ultra Ball away any of those cards. The grass energies in this deck are like the entire engine of the deck. They're pretty important to have. I do end up super rotting. I could probably put back 2 energy. I do only put back 1 though. Oh, I only put back 1 because I wanted to have better odds of drawing Iono off of this. But I don't know, it's pretty unlikely. Actually, there's what, 2 in the deck? It wasn't that unlikely actually with such a small deck. But I can just accelerate the energy to the bench guy and attach and Prime Catcher up this Charmeleon and knock it out to make it as hard as possible for them, because I don't want to knock out the Lumineon and give them access to Counter Catcher and Defiance Band and stuff like that. So I figure, I don't know, I lose either way to a Radiant Charizard, and that's kind of my main concern right now, that they'll just have a way to get the Radiant Zard out and one-shot me, which would be kind of unfortunate. But if they don't, we just win next turn with the current hand that we have, as long as they don't Iono us, and they do Ultra Ball away in Iono. So at this point, I'm thinking that if they're not going to win, or that they have a way to win or something, if they do Arven for Candy and Defiance Band, forgetting again that they're behind, I think, and that there's a Jamming Tower in play. I don't know, this game was kind of interesting. I wonder if their Radiant Charizard is prized, or if they just totally forgot about it, thinking that the Hydrapple's a dragon Pokemon. Because I thought that this Pokemon was going to be a dragon Pokemon when it came out for quite a while, but they do just hit into us for 300, and I can just swing and knock them out for 420. And yeah, got pretty lucky. That game got a little closer than I would have liked, but on to the next game. Alright, we're up against the Terrapagos deck. I don't know, I've been kind of underwhelmed by this deck, the Terrapagos deck so far when I played it. And I Bug Catching Set here, and it won't let me grab the Hydrapple, which is kind of annoying. I don't know, I was having a lot of bugs happen to me when I was playing the Terrapagos deck as well, so I wonder if it's actually something to do with that card. That wouldn't really make sense, but yeah, I'm trying to figure out the best way to build that deck right now. Like I said, it's been kind of a little underwhelming so far, and it's kind of hard to tell because the game, sometimes a lot of my games at the end of the game with it, I just haven't been able to play cards. It won't let me use my deck. It won't let me Poffin for more Pokemon. It's been kind of a pain. I lost like a ton of ladder points with the Terrapagos deck yesterday, and then started playing this Hydrapple deck, and it was definitely seemed a lot better so far, but like I said, the other one's been pretty buggy. So they Iono me into a good enough hand, I guess. can Bug Catching Set here and see what I get. I should have Poffin first. I think I didn't want to shuffle my deck. Yeah, I didn't want to shuffle my deck after the Iono, so that's why I did it in that order. Because the Poffin would have taken out Pokemon that I don't want to hit off of the Bug Catching Set, but it also would have put more cards on the top of my deck that I don't really want to hit. I kind of wanted to get another Ogerpon and maybe the middle evolution guy. Even though a Candy Hydrapple would be kind of nice here. But I don't really want to Iono them because their hand seems kind of dead. I almost Prime Catcher up the Hoot, but I'm only doing 120 damage and it has 130 hit points effectively with the Bouffalant in play. So I do just end up bringing up this Duskull and I'm going to knock that out. I do end up Ionoing. I don't know. I could have probably just not done that. But just getting closer to Candy Hydrapple, I suppose. Because I don't think I knew that they had like a Noctowl or anything in their hand. Whatever. Sometimes you gotta just prioritize your own setup over hoping that your opponent is bricking. It did kind of seem like they got off to a lackluster start, but I don't know. I think that their game bugged out there a little bit because it took them a while to promote and it seemed like they disconnected, but they do end up being here. And they have to use their Scoop Up Cyclone, which kind of sucks. I don't know that it really made a difference because it seems like I ended up Ionoing them into a dead hand anyway. I top deck Rare Candy, which is actually perfect. But yeah, this is another reason why like just not playing Iono isn't always the best. They might have had like a Noctowl or something and hand Iono them into 6 cards and they somehow kind of brick. But that is kind of the nature of this Terapagos deck. To get the most effect out of it, you want to build it in kind of a greedy way to be able to use the Noctowls to grab your stuff so that you can play more different cards. And we research into Candy Hydrapple. That's pretty good. So yeah, if you don't get into that Noctowl, sometimes it can be a little bit rough. I don't know. I really got to figure out how to build that deck because it seems like it peters out a lot in the middle. But this Hydrapple deck has been setting up like this like every time I play it. It's kind of crazy, but Ogerpon's just a really good broken card and it lets you just kind of churn through the deck pretty fast. So we get a, I think that was, no, that was turn 3, I think, but turn 3, 300 damage, pretty solid. With the Jamming Tower to shut off the tool, or else we wouldn't have been able to one-shot that Terapagos there, so pretty lucky that I ended up playing that stadium. Just because I wanted to put a stadium in the deck and I wasn't sure which one, and then I figured Jamming Tower is the only stadium that would be helpful, and I was definitely right about that because it was pretty clutch in the last 2 games that you saw. And they only end up hitting me for 130, and I think they realize that that's not even a 2-shot and just end up conceding. Alright, here we are up against a Blissey deck, which is definitely the deck that I'm excited to try next, I think. Either that or Palkia. I don't know, but then the Palkia has the same problem as the Terapagos deck where it's going to be super buggy because the new stadium doesn't work correctly, but I think we all kind of expected that with the way that the game is. Now I choose to accelerate to my bench Ogerpon first here because this Garvantula does have an attack that can one-shot my Ogerpon here for just 1 more energy because I already have a lightning on it, so I wasn't going to put a grass onto this Ogerpon if it was my only grass. But I did end up drawing another one. Luckily I did because now I could get into Cleffa. The Cleffa has been like the MVP of this deck in a lot of the games that I've played. Just sometimes you're far enough ahead on the prize trade where you can even afford to just Cleffa in the middle of the game to get reestablished. And they have no way to retreat and just end up passing. That's pretty decent. I'm using the Teal mask first to try and make it so that I Bug Catching Set into a Hydrapple. I end up whiffing. I don't know. This seems like kind of bad luck to me, but it's the way it is. And I can bench this other Ogerpon probably and draw one more card and see what it is. And I do end up doing that. I just got a handful of Pokemon and energy. And getting rid of a rare candy isn't that bad. I do end up drawing research, because we really only usually end up getting out 2 Hydrapples most games, so that's only 2 rare candy that's needed. There's also a middle evolution that we can evolve into. Now I Ultra Ball away the Iono here, which is my only draw supporter. I'm kind of unsure about that in hindsight, but I figure I have a boss for next turn, so I can basically do whatever I want, or knock out whatever I want. And I play the Super Rod out preemptively because I kind of expect them to item lock me this next turn. All they have to do is attach and like get a glass trumpet onto the Blissey and move the energy up to their active. But they do end up attaching a lightning, which kind of just puts them in not the best spot right away. They do have the Noctowl though. They grab Arbin, which, yeah, Arbin and Iono, which leads me to believe that they were not going to Iono me this turn. This is what I've kind of found with the Noctowl is it just kind of gets you, it doesn't get you powerful enough cards to justify the whole engine or to make the whole engine as good as Inteleon was. But now I'm kind of wishing that I had a way to draw like a draw supporter, because I don't need the boss. The Pokemon that I want to knock out is in the active spot. People seem to have been forgetting about Jamming Tower quite a bit, which is kind of funny. I definitely had a few people just totally forget about it, and this guy was one of them. He threw the power glass on there and did not get any effect from it. So we ended up doing just enough damage to one-shot that Gargantua, which is pretty good. And they have to get their trumpet tool to accelerate to the Blissey to move to the active. Well, once again, he forgot about the Jamming Tower. So yeah, that is Hydrapple. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see. It's probably one of those decks that just seems really good at the beginning of a new set because people don't have lists like leveled out. Everyone's trying the new cards, and it's just like inherently a high power level card. So it's probably going to seem a little bit better than it actually will end up being. But so far I like it. It's really consistent. It does big damage really quick. The one problem that I can see with it is that you just get one shot by Radiant Charizard so easily, and then your grass deck can't even really effectively be a Charizard deck, which would be very, very unfortunate. Also, definitely wanted to get a little bit higher quality of games, but I spent the entire day yesterday, or vast majority of it, testing Terrapagos, just running into bugs over and over again. And I don't know, that's why I ended up trying this Hydrapple deck, and I thought it was actually really cool. Just wanted to bring it to you guys, and hope you enjoyed. Like or dislike, comment, and subscribe. Take care and have a good one.